Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're in a good place to receive um, some of the information or thoughts or reflections I'd like to share with you in this short, humble video offering. So the topic for today is swimming. And I did not think I would ever provide a, a video offering on the topic of swimming. So, swimming, and what's the story behind swimming? Well, if you think about it, swimming is a situation where we as human beings are submerged in an environment that is not our natural inclination or terrain. When we swim, we are entering a completely different world that functions in different ways and under different rules. And how we as humans adapt to that change, I think, is worthy of a few minutes of thought. Now, for those of us who are lucky enough to have learned how to swim at an early age, we may have forgotten the struggle that we had to go through, the learning and the process of approaching water. But I think those that will appreciate today's topic most are adults who, for whatever reason, do not know how to swim. And you'll be surprised how many people you may know in your office, in your life, who are adults and do not know how to swim for whatever reason. And I think if you're an adult and you don't know how to swim, physically you don't know how to swim, my recommendation, I think this is a golden opportunity if you have the ability to take steps towards that. Because in learning how to physically swim, you will learn so much about yourself. You will overcome a obstacle in your life that has so much enrichment, so much joy for us lucky ones that know how to swim. Swimming can be a sheer pleasure. It can be a physical form of brilliant exercise with very little pressure on your joints. It can, and this is possibly the most important point behind learning how to physically swim, it can save your life. There will be situations where you go on holiday, you're hiking, you're traveling, and you come across a body of water. Something happens and you literally need to swim across it. And if you don't know how, and you're with a group, well, you're in a little bit of trouble, and that need not be. So when you think about it beyond the physical, I'll go back to the physical swimming in a few minutes, but I think going beyond the physical format of swimming, you have the metaphysical. And we swim all the time. If we're groups of people who constantly learn, constantly expose ourselves to different environments, whether it's at work or professional careers, then we're swimming all the time. We're learning how to behave in a new environment. We're learning to stay afloat. We're learning to become buoyant. And we are adapting to the water, which is ever changing. You have currents and all sorts of things that you have to feel your way around. And most importantly, I think, is the point where we stop panicking. Because obviously, again, if you remember when we first learned how to swim, if you were lucky enough to have a parent to teach you or an adult to teach you, you were very scared when you were in that water. Somebody was probably holding you, and you had to go from one short distance to another, and that short distance for you might have been as big as the Atlantic Ocean in your mind, to go from shallow end to the deep end. That was a huge deal once upon a time. And I think it's very, very important to use that as a fantastic example of when we learn everything. We tend to, especially when we go into unexpectedly fluid environments that are changing, we generally, we generally tend to panic and exert a tremendous amount of energy trying to survive. But with experience, we get to stay afloat and swim with very little energy. In fact, the minimum amount, so we can conserve energy for what may come, but that comes with time. And there's many examples. One of the things that pretty much comes to mind, and anybody that does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo will, I think particularly BJJ, will appreciate the whole connection with swimming. Because in the grappling arts, when you grapple, you're very much against gravity. Your back is on the ground, and you're looking upwards to the heavens, to the ceiling. And we tend normally in our everyday lives not to be horizontal in our bearings. We're quite vertical. We see things here, not up here. So the rules change. When you're on the mat in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scenario, or wrestling or judo, you are upside down. In the water, when you're swimming, you can be upside down, inside out. The rules of gravity are shifted and altered. And it really does, especially if you're new to BJJ, it really does feel like you're drowning, especially when your opponent is more experienced than you. Every move that you make is countered by them in a more intelligent way, because they spent more time swimming in that environment, and you really do feel like you are drowning. But with time, particularly, and this is a really big point for today, particularly if you have a teacher. If you have a teacher that's done it and has helped other people do it, this is a beautifully holy thing. Same thing with opening up a business. I left the employment world many years ago, and jumped into the sea of being self-employed. And I didn't have a teacher. I had to teach myself and learn and ask, and I eventually did get some guidance. And that was so helpful, to have a teacher who's done it and has helped other people do it. I'm so grateful for them. But it's the same thing, whether you live abroad, you're in a completely different environment. Guess what you're doing? You are swimming. You are learning to swim. Again, you're moving from A to B, short distances, long distances. You're learning the currents. Swimming is a massively big deal. And having a teacher is so important. Find yourself a teacher if you want to do something. And if what you're doing has never been done, well, find a teacher that has done something a little closer to it. Or do it, and maybe you're the teacher that everybody is waiting for. Either way, you're swimming. Either way, human beings grow must swim, physically and metaphysically. Now, some of you may hear this and go, "Oh, I'm too old to learn how to swim. My soul swims anyway. My metaphysical soul swims anyway." That's a really nice excuse, but it's just an excuse. I think every human being should learn how to physically swim if they're able to. People that try and skip the physicality, for me personally, no offense, guys and girls, people that try and skip the physicality of something and go straight into the metaphysics of something are trying to skip the hard work. You may have the appearance of having the bearings, but life will expose you very quickly and very harshly. which is why I believe the physical experience is very important. For me, I am very drawn to the physical world, and through the physical world, I enter into metaphysical environments within myself and outside myself. Now, I'm not saying that's something everybody should do. All I'm saying is that that's how I've learned it and I've experienced it and I appreciate it. But if you're doing a lot of metaphysical stuff and you're a very spiritual person and you haven't suffered physically and recovered physically from physical exertion, physical pain, physical suffering, if you don't know what it feels like to have a black eye, busted nose, and push forward, I think you're missing a tremendous amount of higher level enlightenment that comes through the harshness of physicality. And we live in a world now where everything is nice and soft and padded and pristine. That's why getting back to basics for me, getting dirty, falling, scraping your knees, breaking some bones, is a very good thing. You will become more gentle towards yourself and towards other people when you know how vulnerable you can be. And that's to me why physical sports under very good tutelage, martial arts under very good teaching tutelage is immensely beneficial to a person's self-development, young or old. So it's really important, if you are a person that doesn't know how to swim, please go learn. And when you approach something that you're afraid of, and you need to be afraid of it, of course you're afraid of it. You're afraid of physically swimming, as anybody would be of opening a business when they've never had the experience of doing that. There's fear in both of those things. You can drown in both of those things. You imagine you're an employee and you want to open a business and you leave your salaried life behind you, and you know you don't have a salary anymore. You're paying somebody else's salary. You have a team that you are responsible for that are looking to you for guidance and support, and you've never done this before. You're going to tell me you're not scared. You don't even know whether you're going to make it past the first quarter of the year, let alone the first 5 years. You are swimming, and you have a tremendous amount of fear. You should have a tremendous amount of fear in you. But similarly to the person who doesn't know how to swim, the adult, male, female, who doesn't know how to physically swim, you are approaching, if you have the ability and you live in a city or a part of town where you can literally just type it on your phone, adult swimming classes, and you'll get a list. If you're living in a part of the world that is lucky enough to have that, this is my challenge for you. Just do this. Type those words, those search words, adult swimming classes, adult beginner swimming classes in your local area, and you will get a list. That's step one. Congratulations. That's one step that you've never taken before. Huge success. Step two, call them and just inquire about where their location is, how much their prices are, and then that's your second step. Step three, go and see this facility. Go and check it out. I'm not asking you to jump into the pool right then and there, but don't do those 3 steps for me. Only those 3 steps. Search, call, go. Physically go. Smell that swimming pool, the chlorine in that swimming pool in your nostrils, and feel what your body feels like. Do that. Just do that, and you will gain a tremendous amount of experience and growth. People that want to start businesses, find a coach. I highly recommend that you find a coach before you dive into that particular environment. Even if you think your concept and idea is genuine, you have to go through the same physical process. Your body will go through the same physical process as every single entrepreneur that started. And there's wisdom behind that, and a lot of tremendous humbleness. That's my time right now. Maybe I'll come back for part 2. No idea. Inshallah, I'll see you soon. Until then, good swimming.